Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Carrie Bartels and I'm a trainer in Ex Libris North America. This is our agenda for this training session on establishing and managing trials and evaluations of electronic resources. We assume that if you're viewing this presentation, you have also viewed the sessions that are listed here. Of particular note, however, are the sessions on end-to-end workflows for acquiring electronic resources. As you can see here, the process for establishing a trial begins with a purchasing operator who creates the PO line. After the PO line is created, a trial manager or trial operator takes over to manage the trial. At your institution, it could very well be that a user has both of these roles assigned to them, and so they would be able to perform all of the steps of the workflow. Once the trial is established, trial participants become involved to evaluate electronic resources as part of the process in helping to make the purchase decision. The objectives for this presentation are to help you be able to learn the steps that make up a workflow for a trial or evaluation, manage a trial or evaluation successfully, and make a purchase decision after reviewing the results of a survey provided by trial or evaluation participants. Because electronic resource material is often very expensive and consumes a large part of the library's budget, it is important to be able to gauge the value of a new package before subscribing or determine if an electronic resource package should be renewed. Running a trial or evaluation greatly assists staff in making the best possible decision. Workflows for trials and evaluations are similar. The main difference is that for an evaluation, the library assesses if an existing electronic resource package should be renewed. Trials typically begin when a vendor offers a trial of a specific electronic resource, or perhaps a request is received internally to evaluate a particular electronic resource. Such offers or requests are the purview of the trial manager or trial operator. And note that trials may be established for electronic packages only. To establish a trial, a request is passed to the purchasing operator, who will manually create a PO line for the trial. The purchasing operator searches in the community zone for the relevant package, and from there they click on the order link to create the PO line. Now in the situation where a user has both the purchasing operator and trial operator roles, all of those tasks may be performed quickly and easily by selecting in the PO line Save and Start Trial. If the user has only the purchasing operator role, then they would select Save and Request Evaluation. And then the next steps are passed to the trial operator to set up the trial. In our example, though, the user has both purchasing operator and trial operator roles. At this point, let's go to Alma and let me show you this live. So in Alma, I've already done the behind-the-scenes work of searching in the community zone for this particular package, Alexander Street Press, Contemporary World Music, and I've clicked on the order link from the record in the community zone to create the PO line, and I've entered the information for the PO line here. At this point, because I have both roles, purchasing operator and trials operator, from the drop-down menu, either at the top or the bottom of the PO line, I would select Save and Start Trial and click on the Go button. Using the wizard that displays, and this will actually take me through a couple of screens, I would enter as a trial operator a lot more information about the trial, including things like the start and the end date for the trial. Notice that those are required fields. So I'll enter a start date, and I will enter an end date here also. The notification period field, this is the number of days before the start of the trial that you want an email invitation to be sent to participants. So we'll say a couple of days before the trial, send out an email invitation to participants. The available to public checkbox, if this is selected, it will open up the survey or trial to everyone. Now by default, it's not selected. This means that I'm doing a private trial, limited to the trial participants that I specifically invite. And then the participant page URL, this will be the URL to access the survey. This will be automatically populated for me once I create the survey questions. So at this point, I'll click on Save and Continue. Notice I have some more tabs that display to me. So in addition to creating the summary details, like the start and the end date of the trial, for instance, I would also need to create the survey. And I do that by clicking on the Survey Form tab. And I can click on Add Question, and that will allow me to add a question to the survey. The group drop-down, this is just a logical grouping of questions. So perhaps there are questions about content or the interface, or perhaps there are questions that you want at the end of the survey. In this case, I'll just say this is a content question, and then in the type drop-down, I can have a scale of satisfaction. So for instance, on a scale of 1 to 5, yes or no questions, free text, and then general questions. So for this one, I'm going to say a scale of satisfaction. And the actual question, just to give you an example, is the content in this package appropriate? Again, just to give you an example question here, and I'll click on the Add button. By clicking on the Add button, that allows me to quickly create a second question. And in this case, I'm going to say this is a conclusion question. It would be at the end of the survey. This is going to be a yes-no question. And the question is, should the library subscribe to this resource? And for now, I'll click on Add and Close, because I'll just have 2 questions in my survey. The next thing I need to do, since this is a private trial, in other words, I am going to specifically invite participants, I need to click on the Participants tab in order to select those participants. So from here, I would click on the magnifying glass, and this takes me to the Find and Manage Users screen. Notice that I do have the tabs to help me in determining which users I would select. I am taken by default to the All tab. And here I'm just going to select a few users. Just select a couple here, and I'll click on the Select button. These are the users who I will be inviting to participate in the trial. I'll click on Save at this point, and that will save all of the trial details that I've entered. Notice that it takes me to a Manage Trials screen, and I'll show you how to get back to this page in just a moment. But here listed first is the trial that we've just created. And notice that the status is in draft. So upon completion, when you've initially completed the survey questions and added the participants, for instance, the status of the trial will be set to draft by default. At this point, the PO line has been normalized and is ready for the next step in the trial process. And regarding the PO line, we can review the PO line in the Manage Trials page for the particular resource by clicking on, if we scroll over to the right, Actions, Edit PO line. And notice that the PO line status is under evaluation. So at this point, let's go back to the slides. So now that we've established the trial, we've created the survey, we've selected the participants, let's talk about managing the trial. Using the Manage Trials page, and I'll go back to Alma in just a moment to show you how to get back to that page, a trial operator can edit the details of the trial, perhaps delete the trial if it's no longer needed, edit the Summary tab of the PO line, and then also activate the trial from there. Because as you will remember, it is in a draft status when you initially create it. So at this point, let's go back to Alma. And we're looking at the PO line summary for the trial currently. I want to go back to that Manage Trials page. So from here, from the Alma menu under Acquisitions, Purchase Order Lines, Manage Trials. And here it takes us back to the Manage Trials page. This is the resource that we were working with. If there are any details about the trial, such as the start or the end dates that need to change, or reminder notifications that should change, these can all be done using the Actions Edit button. And that will take me back to the trial details, and I can make edits as needed. I'll click on Cancel. That will take me back to the Manage Trials page. So that a trial can occur, a trial operator needs to activate the package service and make the service available, as well as indicate the dates during which the trial is active and include any other relevant details. And you'll actually notice the alert here in the exclamation point column. You'll see there is an alert for this resource that we're working with. So if I click on that, the hyperlink to number 1, The alert is, this is telling me that the resource for this trial was not activated. So the trial is not in progress yet because we do need to activate the resource first. So I'm going to click on Cancel. Takes me back to the Manage Trials page. And to activate the resource from here, I would click on Actions, Activate. This will take me through an activation wizard to complete the activation. So I will have a couple of screens that I'll need to complete. So for example, I'm able to activate the electronic collection service from here and then make the service available to the public. If you need more information on activating electronic resources, the Activating Electronic Resources section in the ALMA Resource Management Guide has more details. So at this point, let's go back to the slides. So we've activated the trial, and now we need to notify the participants. Trial participants are notified by email when the trial is about to start. The email is sent when the process called Trials Start and Notify Participants is active and running on a scheduled basis. The email letter will include details about the trial as well as a link to the survey page. And actually, let me show you where this job is so you can always refer back to it. So from the ALMA menu, under Administration, you would click on Monitor Jobs. And I would click on the Schedule tab. And I'm just going to filter because there are 34 jobs that are scheduled to run. And I'm going to filter by acquisition. And here is the job that we'll need to run. Trials Start and Notify Participants. So now notice in this training environment that this is not active, but in your environment it would be active and scheduled to run. Going back to the slides. The survey ends, at which point the trial operator evaluates the results of the survey and makes a decision about whether or not to purchase the material. So let's go back to ALMA. And I'm going to go back to the Manage Trials area under Acquisitions, Purchase Order Lines, Manage Trials. And for our resource that we're doing a trial for, I'm going to click on Actions, Edit again, and that takes me back to the Trial Details page. Now within this area, there is an Analysis tab that you'll see. And this includes, as we look at it here, this includes an option to view the results of the different types of questions and in different ways. So for example, for the question that we see here, if I click on the View button, this will give me, assuming I have answers, and in this example I do not have any answers, but this will give you the responses and then the scale by participant type. From here, I'll just scroll back up, click on the back button. Notice also that results can be exported as well. The results of the analysis, once you've done the analysis, must be entered on the Summary tab of the trial as part of recording the purchase decision. So at this point, I'll click on the Summary tab for this trial. And notice the Analysis and Results section. And this is where you would record results after doing the analysis. So the results, for instance, may be mostly recommended. So the date of the results, the result reason, we'll just say other in this case, and then the purchase decision, yes or no, whether you're going to purchase this or not. If the decision is to purchase the material, the PO line continues in the regular PO line workflow. If the decision is not to purchase the material, the purchasing operator can then cancel the PO line. And this brings us to the end of this session. So just in summary, during this session, we looked at identifying the steps that a trial or evaluation goes through during its workflow. You learned how to successfully manage a trial or evaluation, and then also analyze the survey results to make a purchase decision for a trial or evaluation. Both the ALMA Acquisitions and the Resource Management Guide will be valuable for additional information on workflows for managing trials. Thanks for joining me.